everyone, I'm Kathryn and today we're talking about what it takes to become a successful author. And before I begin, I want to make a disclaimer saying that this is based on my own observations and not necessarily my experience, because I don't have any, but I have a business model that I am slowly following and plan to exact next year when I hope to be walking down the path of successful author. But guys, I'm part of many writing communities, and the one thing that I cannot stand is stupid, because stupid is what gets in your way of success. I don't like it when people close off their mind because you're being stupid and you're just getting in your own way. And so I'm really hoping, if nothing else, if you take anything away from this video, just maybe consider what I'm saying. You don't have to accept it as truth, but maybe open your mind enough to maybe, make observations around yourself and think, well, could she be right? Because I would be very happy to know that I'm wrong, except reality tells me different. And here's the sad truth, is that you don't need to be a good writer to be successful, because one man's trash is another man's treasure. And you can see this across platforms. Because let's be real, The Bachelor is not award-winning TV, and yet it's on its 23rd season. You have shows like 16 and Pregnant that, while it did go off the air, it still exists today under a new name of Teen Mom, and it's just like, that's a stupid show. It really is, but trash treasure, guys. And writing is no different. And I say this as a consumer because there are some books that I read where I read purely for the joy of reading what the author wrote, because in my mind, the author is a wordsmith. And I think a really good example of this is I bought Hannah Lee Kidder's book, Little Birds, on a whim just because I discovered her on YouTube and I enjoy what she does there, and I was so pleasantly surprised by what I was gifted. And it's not often that I come across indie authors where it's like, oh wow, I really hope that I can be at the same caliber that they are at. But she is a wordsmith in my mind. But, on the other end of the scale, you have people who they don't necessarily have strong writing skills. They're more weak, but they're really smart when it comes to marketing and growing their audience. And so the way that they succeed is by niching down the types of stories that they tell and then market their stories to the people who enjoy them most. And for myself, my guilty pleasure is erotic romance. I am not reading those stories for the amazing literary value of the writing. I'm reading it because there's a guy character, there's a girl character, and it's like, are they gonna get together or aren't they? And then they live happily ever after. The end. Like, the story is predictable, the story is most often stupid. I don't care. I love the tropes. I love everything about those stories. And if there is a story that follows that, I will buy it. It doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what do I want? Because if your goal is to be an incredible writer, well, if you don't have marketing skills, if you can't grow an audience, if you can't find people to buy your gold book that is encrusted with diamonds, you're not going to have success, because if nobody knows it's there, nobody's going to get it. Versus, if you can't write that well, you're not going to be able to really sell your books unless you really niche down and are able to market to the people who love those books. You sort of need to do both, in all honesty. I think the greatest example that people could look at in terms of how to be a successful indie author would be Jenna Moretti. Because I read her first book, and it was an okay book in my opinion. And then I read her second book. And what's amazing, but also sort of really sad, is that her second book is so much better than her first book. Like, it really, it takes her first book and just beats the crap out of it and throws it into the corner. Like, that's how much the writing improved. And I know that there are people out on the internet who gave her crap, specifically in the reviews if you ever read them, but I can't help but think, holy crap, she is the most amazing genius I've ever found on YouTube, because she wanted to be a writer, she wrote a book, who she herself said that this is a book that she always wanted to read, and she made money off of it. And then she took what people said, what they didn't like about the book, and she improved upon it to write an even better second book. And that's the model that if you want to be a successful indie author, that you should follow. You know, don't worry so much about being the perfect author or the perfect marketer or being a persona that can grow your audience in a snap of a finger. You know, work on these skills slowly over time and then reap the rewards, because they will come. You just sort of need time and patience, and you can't be closed-minded. You really can't. Anywho, that's what I have for you guys, and I would highly encourage you to take my advice with a grain of salt. But if you have something to add, please leave it in the comments below, because I love hearing from you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Tootsies, my applesines. I really need to be reading next month's book dissect book, but I haven't because April is just turning into this like really stressful ball of just And so I've just been devouring romance novels, and it's so great. Like, I've gone through, I think, probably 30 of them in the past 2 weeks, and they make me happy because it's like, oh, they end up together, what a surprise. But at the same time, it's like, Kathryn, you really sort of need to like get your butt in gear and like work on next month's book, because like you're gonna have to shoot the video for it, but like they got together in the end.